All right, there's a couple other things we can get to. Let's dude, I gotta pull up this Sneako thing. That was hilarious. Oh my gosh. I've already pre-watched it, but it is so good. And we got an hour and a half to kill before the debate, so let's go for it. Let me find it real quick.
Why not just prefer a girl that's not interested in the club, that doesn't go out and do those things, doesn't really talk to other guys, and just waiting to be with the right guy?
Because if you have no life experience, then you don't know what the you want.
Wait, why is it even that important for a girl to have life experience?
Because why would
Oh God! Don't bring up the age thing. 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 Whew. Okay.
you want to date a fucking yokel that has never been around shit or done shit with themselves? The stuff that I bring up in conversation that my girl doesn't know about, to me, that is to her detriment. Like when I bring up The Simpsons and she doesn't know what the I'm talking about, or the fact that I had to sit her down and make her watch fucking 10 seasons of Seinfeld.
That's the most abusive thing I've ever heard Adam22 say. I'm going to be honest. I watched a few episodes of Seinfeld. It's like, okay. Being forced to watch 10 seasons? Oof.
So you could talk about Seinfeld. You did that?
It's just like the foundational blocks of like comedy, I think. Obviously, you can go way back in time, but
Well, yeah, you can get a girl without experience, and then isn't that more fun? It's like she hasn't seen Seinfeld. Great, let me show you, and then you get to see her reactions, or learning all the jokes for the first time, seeing the George dude like fumble around and be Jewish and stuff.
George,
whatever. Like isn't that way more fun? You're like, well, she gets to see it. Like showing a movie to somebody when they haven't seen it is so much more fun than if you've both already seen the movie, because then you get to see the reactions and stuff. You get to tell.
But you've never been in a conversation with somebody and you realize that you have the same, box of references that you can both refer back to.
That's a
huge like bond.
Did you say that's a huge turnoff? No way did he say that. Hold on.
Of references that you can both refer back to.
That's a
huge like.
He's saying something different. I can't understand what he's saying. That's a huge something. I don't understand.
Bonding moment between two people. Like if I quoted a movie right now and you were just like, oh yeah, blah, 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 and you just knew exactly what I was talking about, that would make me feel like we were a little bit closer.
Did he say turn off? No shot. Really?
Between two guys, pause.
I don't see women as that different in that regard.
You don't see women as different than men?
Well, besides the dick and vagina part, not
really
as much.
Mentally,
I want to have something. You're acting like I'm crazy for wanting to have something in common with the woman that I'm married to or seeing.
That's insane. What do you want to have in common?
Bro.
Oh my gosh. It's Now I will say the one tiny thing that Sneako said that was like has a little bit of truth. Like, of course, like if you're with somebody, whether that's like a friend, a sibling, or even a romantic partner, and like they've not seen, like let's say they've never seen Star Wars or something before, and like you get to introduce them to Star Wars for the first time and like see their reactions in real time, where they have no idea what this is going in. Like, yeah, there is like some coolness to that, right? That can help like strengthen bonds with people too. And like she introduces you to things, you introduce her to things, and like that can be a cool experience. But you're probably going to want like to have some baseline level of chemistry there. Some baseline level of chemistry where like you have things in common, you have common interests, you have common hobbies, you both like video games, whatever it happens to be, right? And so be like, you're crazy. Why would anyone want that? Like, what? That's fucking wild. That's fucking wild. I can't believe it. No, that's just an absurd take. All right, what else are we going to talk about? Man, I was doing like a fuck ton of research for this conversation earlier. I've read through this entire thing here. It's this study from the International Journal for Environmental Research and Public Health on transgender athletes. I don't even know if Char42 wants to talk about the trans athlete debate, but I figure it'll come up, and I'll probably bring it up at some point. I'm not even sure what her stance on this is. We haven't talked in ages, so we might even be in agreement. But I read through this entire paper, and it actually, the arguments are like way stronger than I thought before. Like there's actually a lot. It's not just advantages consigned in puberty, but there's actually like a huge number of advantages, including mental advantages that that occur in utero, which I actually didn't know about, and in early childhood. Where was there's a specific quote here. Okay. While more research is required for definitive answers, the current data demonstrates that estrogen therapy in trans women can drive some brain structures towards that of the biological female, but does not do so quickly and appears to not reformat the sex-typical male brain responses into a female-like brain. This is compatible with the concept that both the in utero and perinatal surges of testosterone secretion occurring in males drive permanent sex differences in brain structure and function, which are apparent in young boys before puberty. Human spatial ability, for example, appears beneficially affected by prenatal androgens, with second trimester testosterone levels correlated positively in biological females and negatively in biological males at age 7. Like there's actually they talk about a few other changes too that happen due to testosterone releases in utero that I actually had no idea about beforehand. Bro, Sneako saying stupid stuff is par for the course. Yeah, I don't like hate Sneako or anything. I think he's like a bad guy. I think he's just misguided and like latches on to other figures and just sort of thinks that like okay, like I heard this semi-smart person say something and now like okay, I'm gonna like adopt that entire worldview wholesale. But like I don't think he's like evil or anything. Like just one thing that like the left does where they want to like just destroy people's lives and cancel them. And I think that just drives people further away. It drives them more into like the far reaches of the right because those are the only people who back them up. Those are the only people who defend them, the only people who listen to them. Whereas the left is just like, oh, you have to die, you're an evil racist Nazi, blah blah blah. And it's wild too because a lot of like the left's view on this stuff they're all like, oh yeah, everybody has to vote. Voting is so important to living in a democracy, but speaking to them isn't, right? If you speak, then you just should have your life destroyed. But these are the same people who, in many cases, be like, oh, yeah, we need to have rehabilitative justice and restorative justice, and the prison system should be designed around rehabilitation, not punishment. Like I actually like agree with that by and large, right? It should like there are obviously some people who you can't rehabilitate and you just need to be locked away for the safety of everyone else. Like that's one aspect of the prison system, or it should be. And then there's another aspect too, which is like, okay, like you've clearly fucked up, you've done some bad things, but like you're not like a serial killer or a mass murderer or whatever. Like we should have some way of attempting to bring you back into the fold and embracing you in the arms of society again. Like that should probably be a thing. Um, and we do a really bad job at that. And our system's not really designed for that. It's designed to basically just treat people like shit in many cases. But then, like, oh my God, if you tweeted something racist like 10 years ago, like, oh, well, hold up. Like, the rapists and the murderers, like, we can rehabilitate them. But that thing you posted on Twitter 10 years ago when you were 16 years old, like, that's you forever. Like, that is who you need to be. That's who we're going to treat you as. You can never work again. Like, that is just so fucking absurd. And they don't even, like, recognize the contradiction in this. He does it for content. I mean, probably. I mean, like shit. Like I mean, like I'm doing this for content, right? I mean, like that's what we all do if you're on the YouTube space. Because I mean, not that I don't believe the things that I say, but yeah, I mean, we're all doing it for content because like that's what this industry is. Like I'm not I'm very open about that, or I want to be. Obviously, this is the first time I've come back in 10 years, so like I'm not very anything in this space. But yeah, no, we're all doing it for content. Like, yeah, sure, I want to make money off this. Like, obviously, it's not monetized or anything yet because YouTube has weird rules where you can't even do ads or anything like that until you reach some criteria, which I think I probably would have met like 10 years ago. But now they've I haven't got any views because I haven't had any videos come out in like 6 years. So Twitter is cancer, praying for it to be terminal. I mean, even if Twitter dies, something else is just going to replace it. Like whether that's one of the currently existing platforms like Truth Social or Mastodon or something new. Like there's probably a desire in society and maybe even an addiction in society for people to be on these super short term like 140 character or 280 character or whatever platforms where this system is incentivized in such a way because of the short character format where you basically you can't have super in-depth conversations. It's where you're gonna have people basically just sniping at each other and trying to piss each other off and troll because that's sort of what the platform is designed for. And there's probably always going to be something like that now, unless you make it illegal. And even then, I don't even know if you. I mean, first of all, I'm a free speech guy. I don't think you should be banning websites. But even if you could ban it, like there's going to be some underground one, or there's going to be a Chinese or Russian or German replacement, and people will just use VPNs to access that because there's a desire for this. There's a desire for this type of thing. This is why I purged my Facebook pre-2020. Thank God for browser scripts. Plus, I actually cringe at some takes I had as a ninth grader when I first made that account. Oh yeah, like 1,000%. Like I've made some pretty shitty takes over the years, I'm sure. In fact, I know I have. But that's we're all learning and growing as human beings. So that's it's so weird that the left doesn't seem to recognize that. They want to take these tweets that people made in like 2008. It's wild. It's wild because like of course like we're all like I am not at all remotely like the same person I was during the Gamergate days. Like I still like I think that I'm not sure people want to listen to me talk about Gamergate, but like I largely like agree with like the ideas behind Gamergate. Like insofar as there were ideas behind Gamergate that like people could coalesce behind. But like a lot of the other like ancillary takes and stuff, and a lot of like the takes, like if you go back and like watch those debates that happened back then with like Helicopter Guy and other people like that, like there were some really stupid fucking takes out there, and by me, by others, where we just like we were just. And this is something that people. This is something you can notice. Gamergate never ends. Yeah.